Hey guys, Mrs. Mecca here. Time to learn about some probability. So my first question for you is, what are all the possible numbers you can roll on a dice? Well, if it's a six-sided dice, we have a 1, and a 2, and a 3, 4, 5, 6. So these are called the outcomes that can occur. Okay, the possible numbers that we could roll on the dice are called the outcomes. A list of all possible outcomes is called the sample space, and you write a sample space with this curly little bracket that I have trouble writing with a normal pen, so with a, tablet pen. That's my best job, and then you just list it. Your sample space is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a 6 for rolling a dice, and then of course you have to close your bracket with a little curly bracket. Okay, so what is the sample space of this spinner? You pause and answer that on your own. Hopefully you got your sample space was X, 3, 5, Z, 2, and 1. I'll do this so my Z and my 2 don't look so close together. So all the possible outcomes is the sample space. So what's the sample space of a bag of Skittles? Pause and figure it out. So let's see. For a bag of Skittles, I don't know, there's orange, yellow, red. Oh, that moved. Orange, yellow, red. What else is there? Is there purple Skittles? Purple Skittles? Are there purple Skittles? Excuse my grammar. Now there's green. I don't like the green Skittles. I feel like I'm missing a color. Yeah. Sorry, I'm like pausing awkwardly. But I think that's all the colors of the Skittles. If I am wrong, add in whatever color I am not remembering. So that would be the sample space for the bag of Skittles because that's all the colors there are in a bag of Skittles. So let's go back to that dice. What is the probability that you will roll a 4? Okay, you always see this written as, probability of rolling a 4 equals, well, there is 1 4 out of 6 numbers. So the probability that you will roll a 4 is 1/6. What is the probability you will roll a 6? You can pause and figure that out on your own. So there is the probability of rolling a 6. There is 1/6 out of 6 dice. So your probability would be 1/6. Sometimes probability is written as a percent. So this would be about 17%. 17% chance of rolling a 6. Continue on. What's the probability that you will roll an even number? Pause and figure it out. So what's the probability of rolling an even? Okay, so all the numbers are 2, 4, 6. So there are 3 even numbers out of 6, which simplifies to 1/2, which is also 50%. Okay, so the probability is 1/2 or a 50% chance. What is the probability you will roll a number greater than 4? Pause and figure that out. So probability of rolling a number greater than 4. So all the numbers greater than 4 on a dice are 5 and 6. So that would be 2 of the numbers out of 6. And that simplifies to 1/3, which is also about 33%. Okay, so probability, as you can see, is pretty stinking easy. So let's talk about 2 different types of probability. But first I want you to go through some steps here to see if you can figure out what this means on your own. So first, I just want you to think about the word experimental and what does that mean to you. And then I would like for you to write about what that word means for you. Just get some practice writing your own definitions here. So you can pause while you're writing and then move on. Okay, so back to experimental. So to me, experimental is like I think of science, and when you're doing an experiment and you're trying to figure out the answer to your hypothesis. Okay, now we have theoretical. I want you to think about what that word means for you, and after you've thought about it, I would like you to write down what you were thinking about. And I have Sheldon Cooper here because he is a theoretical physicist. So that's what I think of when I think of theoretical. And when I think of theoretical, I think of the word theory. Okay, so in theory, this is what might happen or what might have happened. So I want you to take a dice and roll your dice 10 times and write down what you rolled each time. Pause and do that. Okay, so originally you would have said that the probability of rolling a 4 was what? Well, there was 1 4 out of 6. So probability of rolling a 4 was 1/6. So how many times did you roll a 4 out of those 10 rolls that you just did? Let's say I rolled a 4 twice. Okay, so that probability was actually 2 out of 6. Which would be 1/3. Okay, so there's two types of there's two types of probability, experimental and theoretical. I want you to make and write down your own definition of each. Okay, so going back here, which one of these do you think was experimental and which one of these do you think was theoretical? Well, the theoretical one is when you don't do an experiment. Okay? The experimental one is when you actually find some results. And I'm just abbreviating here. I'm sure you can notice that. Okay, so here's the technical definitions. If you're keeping some vocab, I would recommend writing these down. So the experimental probability is the ratio, so a fraction or colon, or lots of ways to write a ratio, is the ratio of the number of times an event occurs to the total number of trials or times the activity is performed. So the actual probability you find by, rolling the dice or spinning the spinner or pulling a Skittle out of your bag. And then the theoretical probability is the number of ways that the event can occur divided by the total number of outcomes. So what could happen based on how many sides of the dice are there? How many different colors are there in a bag of Skittles? So that is all I have for you for probability today. I hope that you find it pretty simple, and you can stay tuned for some more lessons on probability later. Thank you. Bye-bye.